Yo, what's going on, guys? In this video, I want to talk about slow living. Slow living is basically the act of going through your life in a way where you actually have time to do everything that you want to do. And you're doing things not for the sake of getting somewhere, but to get deeper into the moment. So, this concept of living is something that I'm also seeing pop up a lot more on social media, on YouTube. A lot of people are talking about it, mainly due to kind of AI coming in and really, it's not even AI exactly, but I think it's just the marketing behind AI, and it's the same marketing that people use all the time. It's not AI that's at fault. It's just marketing where they're talking about how it's the solution to your life. And I have talked a little bit about automation on this channel, not too much, but my take is that if you approach something from the energy of this will speed up, make my life better, rather than I will enjoy doing this, then you'll end up creating a life where you're constantly trying to run away from the moment. So a lot of people are now kind of getting sick of that mentality. I think they attribute it to it being sick of AI, but I would say it's more so just sick of the mentality around AI. And and uh and so they're talking about slow living, so simple living, so you see videos around tiny houses, around not having to buy everything big. You have minimalism. That was a good movement that started a few good years ago. And so this happens, right? This is coming around. So my concept of slow living is something that has just naturally happened through self-reflection and meditation. Obviously, I've always been a meditator. It's been probably 10 years since I started meditating. And but I don't think I was living slow. I think I was always meditating and moving towards a vision. Now I'm meditating and more so taking my life as a meditation. So I want to talk about how that is. I want to talk about how I got here and how that's affecting me and the people around me in such a positive way. So slow living is the best living because first off, it's productive. I want to talk about productivity because first we often look for the next thing that will help us boost our productivity, when in reality I've realized going slower boosts your productivity, because the more time and attention you put into something, the more of the holes you get to see or you get to find. So I'll give you a few examples. But for example, you feel like you need to get a project done by a specific time and date, but in doing so, you approach the project in a way that you try to shortcut some things, and then when issues come up, you get frustrated. And so you find yourself getting frustrated at the fact that it's not moving fast enough and you're not able to achieve it fast enough. And so then it becomes this thing where it's not fun. And so to me, fun is the indicator of productivity, because if I'm learning something, or actually if I'm doing something and it's not progressing the way I want it to, it's not the thing that's not working, it's me. It's really come down to that. Like, a lot of people want to attribute their failures or their inability to do something to the thing that's outside of them, whether it be technology or whether it be the world. But in reality, it is you. And that's just something that I've learned. The same thing goes with coding. If I am coding and I've been vibe coding for a good while, but if I'm vibe coding just so I can create the app, I'm missing out on so many different components and learning opportunities that are just naturally, sitting there for me, for the taking. And so I realized, I've been able to create some nice apps. I've got two that I'm really happy with, and I'll probably be talking about these later on. But these are just things that are simple, and that I need for a few little things. It's not something big. I'm not, and so through vibe coding these apps, I would call it vibe code. I think the approach is more so, I'm telling the AI to create something, but I'm also very open to learning. So through vibe coding, I've noticed that the more I push the thing so that I can get to the place that I want to get to, the less efficient the AI is, because I have to still go in and really understand what's going on a lot more. So so sometimes, people, it's like you buy a robot to get the remote that is 5 feet away, and so you get more pissed off at the fact that the robot isn't bringing it over to you, rather than you just being able to get up, it being one of the simplest things. And that's kind of how I see this coming up. It's like you want something to just be handed to you, and you get frustrated because it's not easy, when in reality you should be seeking to become an active participant of what is going on. And so that's the main idea behind slow living, is becoming an active participant of the day-to-day things. And so slow living allows you to, you slow down. You're not driven by the goal, you're driven by the intrinsic motivation of, I want to feel connected to this, I want to feel connected to the moment. That is my main priority. And in doing so, you're more present, you're more capable, you're learning, and you're more open. All right, so that's the first thing I want to say about slow living. It's like, productivity comes from you having fun, and you having fun comes from you being open. And the next thing I want to talk about is just my overall approach to life, right? So making money, being with my son, being with my wife, life goals, etc. Okay, so slow living has allowed me to, before, when I was so enamored with the idea of being able to build a social media empire and make a big impact on the world, before all of that, well, because of that, that's been a major driving force in my life. Like, I want to change the world. I want to make things happen. But now that's fading away. I realize that the change in the world aspect of things happens when you're being yourself. Okay, so that's a really big thing to sit on. First off, like, change the world happens by you just being yourself. And there's a lot of esoteric understanding there that is to be delved into. I would just say that I've noticed that when I change my perception, I change my reality. That's kind of very much thrown around, but there's a physical effect that one has when one is able to fundamentally change his inner state. Okay, so I'll say that. Now that's the esoteric spiritual point of view, but the more practical point of view is, because I'm not so concerned about getting somewhere so I can be this one thing, and I'm more worried about the thing that is right in front of me, I'm able to feel more connected and engaged with life. It's like, I love the mundane things. The boring stuff is what makes life feel good. To me, it's like, I want to slow down. I don't care too much about the vision anymore. What I've learned is that through the day-to-day work, it's two things. Through the day-to-day work and my minimal efforts, I am able to achieve the life that I want. And secondly, we are in a position in this world, and I think that this is just overall, that I could call it law of attraction or just the advances in technology. We're in a position in the world where, in time, where whatever you want to create, you can do it. It's just a matter of time for technology to catch up. So what I want to talk about in terms of that is, basically, when I used to have a concern for, I'm pushing so I can climb up and I can make things happen. What I recognize is that I can't do that if I'm not fully locked into where I'm at in this moment. So me understanding that right now I'm outside, I'm in my car, I'm about to go into work, and what does that require for me? What are my next 3 steps? Me thinking about that more as the more important thing than the next 6 steps or the next 10 steps. I'm putting more value on the next 3 steps than I am on the next, on the last 3. So in doing so, I'm able to be more connected, like in the most simplest things. Like, I can sit with my wife, and I could really, cherish the moment, rather than be like, I wish I was somewhere else doing this thing, because if I was over there, then that means that I'd be able to enjoy this moment more, because I'll have more reason to do so. I'll give myself permission to do so. Now, there's a lot of different things that I am throwing at you, but I hope that a lot of these things are resonating. Finally, I want to talk about slow living in the sense of, like, how it's been changing just my approach to technology in general. It's been awesome. I think I'm gonna buy a 3D printer. I am super excited because a few months ago I was seeing the vision was coming to me. It's like, all right, AI is here. I can vibe code, I can program, I can create apps. The next thing would be, virtual reality, but also the next thing could also be 3D printing. Like, why would I not create my own products? Like if I had that vision, and so back then I thought, oh, 3D printing is super expensive. And now I'm realizing that it's not that expensive and I can afford it. So I'm probably going to buy a 3D printer. But I'm also going to be switching over to Linux, which is the most exciting thing right now. That's the next transition, going from Windows to Linux. So that means I'm leaving the Adobe software and I'm getting into keyboard shortcuts and just, optimizing things so that I feel much more integrated into my computer system and computer systems and technology. And also just putting a high emphasis on customization and being aware of everything in my computer. Like, I think I sat down and I organized my freaking files on my File Explorer, which I never ever have done in my life. I did that, and so technology for me is like amazing, because now that I'm doing that with technology, and also I have this mindset of slow living, I'm pushing a lot of things back. Like my projects, I'm pushing them back because I'm like, you know what? I've recognized that I can do whatever I want in this world, and there's no rush. Because as long as I'm doing something that's in alignment with my truth, I'm doing it in a way where I'm putting my full heart into it, and then I'm just I'm following my intuition. Then it'll work out. Whatever needs to happen will happen. And so thanks to that, I'm actually pushing every single project back. And I'm sitting down and I'm really getting to the nitty gritty of where the source really, like what do I use to create my videos, to share, to create my videos, to edit my videos, to create these applications, to expand my creativity. What is the source of those tools? Before those tools, it's gonna be like the computer, for example, like a CPU. Like me learning about a CPU, that's priority number one, because the more I learn about the CPU, the more capable I become of using these applications. Now it's not just an application that's the important thing. It's actually the way that the application interacts with the computer. And so I want to get in there and serve as that bridge that understands what's going on, and I can see things as they come into my computer and they leave my computer. I'm not just going to have stuff that is just floating around. Like, everything has a utility to it. Everything has to make sense. And there's also this, and by saying that, I'm also going to add, like, I don't have this pressure of having to meet certain standards. I don't have standards that I'm setting myself. It's just naturally I feel good when I do that. Kind of like naturally I feel good when I don't eat junk food, because I'm not intaking that. I feel good when my computer is organized, or I feel good when I'm learning about my computer. And so there's like sleepover effects that are coming into my life now, where I'm separating things in buckets. Like, I have my creative work in the morning. I have my time with my family in between transitioning to work. I have my work time for work, and then I go home and then I have like 2 hours to be with my son. Hopefully, get some food in, or if I'm fasting, I skip that and spend more time with my son. And so things are shaping out the way I want them to, and I'm trusting law of attraction to make everything just fit the way that it should, that best suits me and uniquely to me as I continue to evolve also. So slow living is the best living, because I wouldn't be able to get here to, feel content, to be creative, to feel free, to feel productive, to feel aligned. I wouldn't be able to get here if I didn't slow down. And so slowing down is actually speeding up. In the most practical sense, you're gonna see it with learning. When you slow down, when you take the time to digest things. The same thing with food. When you take the time to chew on something, you're prepping the food for your body, and it facilitates the digestion of the food. Okay, so everything is better when it's slower. It kind of comes back to everything's better when it's more intentional, something of the sort. So I hope that this video inspired you to think about what is keeping you away from living slow, right? What is keeping you away, more importantly, from living in the moment and being connected to the moment. And enjoying the moment. And if you have any questions or you want to reach out to me, my coaching link is down below. You can reach out. We can have a one-on-one, and hopefully you will find that a benefit. So that's it for now. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Really appreciate it. So I'll see you in the next video. Stay lucid. Peace out.